How big should a source file be? Uncle Bob. Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out Tuesday. And they're going to come out. I think they're going to make it this time. And they're going to close that up, and everyone will be happy. That'll be out of our lives, finally. All right, I'm going to be reviewing another Uncle Bob, which, I'm on a tear with this guy because it's just stuff is just ridiculous sometimes. Some stuff is like on par. Some of the stuff he's like in it. He's in the trench, and all of a sudden, bam, slams in the back of the thing instead of like releasing a bomb releasing the bomb down to the star and keep sweeping out. He slams butt right into the butt. It's like, dude, you're not helping. You see the problem, but your solution is not helping. The way you approach the solution and your advice is not helping. Okay. All right, what does he have to say? Let's see what he goes on about.
How many lines should there be in a source file?
I don't know.
This is not an easy question to answer. It's not.
Well, as many that are needed. I think this used to be a major issue before IDEs could twirl stuff up inside the curly queue, so you could like collapse your source file down and see the index, and then individually open stuff up as you need to see more detail, more detail, as opposed to having a bunch of files strewn all over the place. It was more of an issue. But now, and also when he's just got PTSD from using printers line by line. He's still got PTSD from that. So line count's super important to this guy. But like, we have tools. The IDEs can manage a lot of this stuff for us. And so for our cognitive load, we might want to offload into another file, but maybe not. Maybe in general we don't want to do that. Maybe the architecture of the of whatever application might require us to have separate files. Okay, that's something else. But like intentionally just breaking things up to 1,000 files. I've worked on these code bases. It's not fun. It's not fun, Bob. I would like to see some code bases that you've worked on that are done this way, and with this breaking up 1 billion files, 1,000 other places that are enterprise level, not just toy ones, not just sample files, not just TDD examples or TDD. It's like, no, I want to see the full thing in production, and your dev team going, this is the way to do it. Always break your functions up to 10,000 classes. It's important. It's like, we don't know, but it's important. So we win this way. It's like, okay, Bob. All right, here we go. Let's keep going.
Like, the one thing, the one rule principle. It's not like that. This is something else. So I did a little study. I took 7 projects that I found off.
So he does do studies. So he does know how to do studies, guys. He doesn't really. So when he's got a point and if he hacked it enough to like make it work, he shows us. Okay, so he does know. He's capable of making studies. I'm so impressed that he's done a study. Let's
off the internet. And I analyzed their file sizes, and I found something really interesting. So here's the 7 projects. One of them is JUnit. This was probably 2001, maybe 2005 when I did.
Woo! That was a long time ago, man.
This, and notice that JUnit is like 6,000 lines of code. And the plot here is called a box plot. So this is the smallest file. This is the biggest file. This is one standard deviation, and the mean is right in the middle. Right? So JUnit, which is about 6,000 lines of code, has a whole bunch of modules inside it. But those modules, the smallest module is 4 lines of code. The biggest module is 200, 300, 500 lines of code. The average module is around 20, 30, 40, 50 lines of code. And most of them are between 100 and 30. That's pretty good. That's pretty standard. Notice there's a log scale here. Right? So as you move up, it changes a lot. Fitness is another project. It's about 50,000 lines of code. So much larger than JUnit, but almost an identical structure. This is interesting because you would expect that large projects would have a different structure. They'd have different statistical array of file sizes, but that does not appear to be the case. Fitness, much larger than JUnit, has the same structure. TestNG.
Does it?
TestNG is a tool similar to JUnit.
I mean the structure of the plot. Okay.
It's got 72,000 lines of code in it, which makes you wonder what the hell it does. And it has a
lot of tests.
Wildly different structure. Interesting, right? So I'm not quite sure what that's about, but there's
probably breaking up all the files into tiny little files, like you told him, Bob.
A big file in there. It looks like 1,500 lines of code. The average is like 40 lines of code, but there's a huge standard deviation, so he's got no regularity to the size of the files.
So?
Now, what I find interesting about this is that there's no correlation between file size and distribution. Right? You've got a couple of big ones, a small one here and a big one here and another small one there and a slightly larger one there. They all have roughly the same correlation. We've got really big ones out here.
Okay.
Right? And a small one here that, there's no correlation there. So what that tells me is that file size is not a function of project size. File size is a style that you can impose upon your system. And since that's true, what style would you like to impose on your system?
It depends on what we're doing with our system, Bob.
Big should your files be? And it looks here like you can build a fairly significant system with files that are on the average 50 lines long. Most of them are less than 100 lines.
What does that have to do with anything? Are you talking about the cyclometric complexity, like the number of if line decisions in there? What does this do? What is this meaning? What am I supposed to derive from this, Bob?
That's probably nice. So that might be a goal to strive for.
Why? This is the part that just baffles me about Bob and people that follow him. Like, what? What is the reasoning behind needing having small files? What is the because it's too much on the screen? You can twirl it down now, right, Bob? You know that? We don't have to break it up in 1,000 pieces and pass objects and classes back and forth. Oh man, so this is some of the stuff that annoys me about Bob. And give me a like and subscribe if you like to hear me rant about it. And if you feel the same or don't, you can do the comment section. I know there's a lot of fanboys that love the concreteness of the Uncle Bob. All right, I'll talk to you later.